Active noise cancelling, USB-C charging, a quick charging case, IPX7 water resistance, 41 hours of battery life. Can these $50 headphones really compete with Apple's AirPods Pro? Welcome back to Ellis Reviews. Remember to subscribe and you'll never miss an episode. These are the Coumi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, the Coumi ANC-860 Bluetooth noise cancelling headphones. And I've been testing them for about the last week or so. Now, I'm a long-term AirPods Pro user. Yes, I did get them personalised. Don't do it, you regret it immediately. And I was just curious to see if you could spend $200 less on a pair of headphones and still get the same benefits in terms of convenience, sound quality, noise cancelling, and everything that comes with these little Bluetooth earbuds. The results are surprising. Let's get into it. I'm going to start by looking at the three things that I think matter with these kind of headphones, and that is the build quality, the sound, and the noise cancelling. So we'll start with the build quality, and I won't lie, they feel cheaper than the AirPods Pro. I think like anything Apple makes, the AirPods Pro, the case, the actual earbuds themselves feel very well put together. The case in particular with the Coumis it just feels a bit plasticky. There's no two ways about it. It doesn't feel like it would put up to a huge amount of rugged use, which is to be expected. It's $200 less than the AirPods Pro. However, there are a few things which surprise me. So the first thing being actually that IPX7 water resistance. Now the AirPods Pro are IPX4 and Apple are very careful about how they explain what that means. So for them, that means you can get them wet if it's raining, but they don't recommend you go swimming in them. Now, IPX7 in theory means you can submerge these for a certain amount of time. I've not tried that for extended periods of time, but I have submerged them in a lot of water and they still operate fine. I think the key thing with water resistance, as I've always learned this with phones that are water resistant, is that it's a rating that should just give you confidence when you do normal stuff. So if you go out for a run in the rain, for example, or a walk in the rain, or maybe you accidentally drop them in the sink, you just have confidence that IPX rating, they're probably going to be okay. The earbuds, they feel fine, to be honest. No big issues with them. They don't feel as premium as AirPods Pro, but they are $200 cheaper. We have to remember that. It's just the case. The case just feels a little bit plasticky, but like I say, these are $50 headphones. You can't expect too much. So the sound, these Coumis sound great, actually. They're not audiophile headphones, and if you're going to buy these and you're an audiophile, you'll be sorely disappointed, I can guarantee that. But they have absolutely nailed that kind of full bass focused sound. It's just pleasing to listen to, and it's not particularly fatiguing. I've worn these for extended periods of time and they don't get wearing. There's no frequencies that stand out above anything else. I think what this has taught me, I remember buying cheap headphones just for the gym use, or just as, just to get me by for a certain amount of time. And I always accepted that those headphones, if I was spending, let's say, $50 or less, I just accepted that those headphones would sound tinny and a bit rubbish. Now these Coumis don't at all. They sound really good, like really good. And I think it's just an illustration that if you are spending less than $100 on headphones, you should not accept a tinny sound anymore. We're far beyond that realm. You should get decent sounding headphones if you're spending that sort of money. There's a lot of bass. If you're not really into that much bass, they may be a bit too heavy for you in that respect, but it's not overwhelming, to be honest. And although they use the word bass a lot in their marketing, if you look on Amazon, for example, bass is mentioned several times, so they're quite confident about that. But they've got every right to be, because it works very well, for example, for dance music, for rock, pop, etc. Most genres, to be fair, but most genres that have an emphasis on bass, these sound particularly good for. Yeah, I'm really impressed with the sound these produce. Noise cancelling. So these feature 6 mics. Again, they make a big deal about this on their product pages, and I'll be completely honest, this is the one thing that I was a little bit disappointed with. I can't always tell if it's on. I'll be totally honest with you. It's one of those things where there's a difference. You turn noise cancelling on and things get a bit quieter, but it's nothing like what you get with the AirPods Pro or a proper pair of over-the-ear noise cancelling headphones like the Sony XM4s, for example. And I just struggle occasionally to work out if it's on or off with the Coumis. It's not terrible, and it's there, but you almost have to listen out for it. And there is an audible hiss that you get when there's nothing playing and you've got the noise cancelling turned on, which isn't a big deal because obviously normally you're playing stuff, but again, you may want to be aware of that. The other thing to bear in mind is that there is no transparency mode with this. So the review unit that I have received, in the manual, they've put a sticker over the transparency mode feature. I got in touch, asked why that was, and they say it's been cancelled. So if you buy these now, they probably won't have the transparency feature. And if you're not sure what transparency is, it's brilliant. So the AirPods Pro have this, and basically, when you turn transparency on, it kind of turns off the active noise cancelling and filters in the outside world. And it works brilliantly. It's so handy. You know, if you're walking down a dark street at night and you want to be aware of what's going on around you, you just flip on the transparency mode. You know, if you want to have a chat with someone, turn the music off and put transparency mode on. It's just a genuinely useful feature. So it's a shame they cancelled it. I have no idea why. It's not there. It was supposed to be there. It's not there. Again, just something to bear in mind. Battery life is really interesting with these. So the 860s are rated at 41 hours of battery life. And the way they get to that, and it's the same with the AirPods Pro, is that they include the amount of time you get from putting them in the case, basically, because the case charges the earbuds. So you put the earbuds in here and it just charges them. It's a really smart design. Apple, I think they started this trend, but it was a very clever one because it kind of abstracts away charging. You still need to charge it. You still need to charge the case, obviously, but you do it much less frequently than you do charging a pair of headphones that don't have a charging case. The overall net result of that is that you feel like you charge it less, if that makes sense, and you get more battery life out of them. And 41 hours in total is fantastic. The way that breaks down, so for example with the Coumis, you get 5 to 7 hours depending on whether or not you're using active noise cancelling, so 5 to 7 hours of playback without being in the case. The AirPods, by comparison, are 4 to 5 hours depending on whether you've got the active noise cancelling turned on. So both of them lose between half an hour and an hour if you have the noise cancelling turned on. And the Coumis do beat the AirPods Pro in terms of battery life. Again, I don't do extensive tests with this, but in my week of using these, I've not charged them once, I've used them a lot. And yeah, I mean, they quote power you a week. Well, for me, it did power me for a week, and I think it would carry on going, actually. I'm not sure how much is left. One problem, you can't tell how much battery is left until the thing starts flashing, but yeah, really impressed with the battery life. And just a very quick mention, very quick shout out to USB-C. You know, I might have to start a USB-C club because I love it so much, but they charge via USB-C. AirPods Pro, still Lightning. Watch any of my other videos and you'll see me rambling on about how important USB-C is, but it's really nice to have that on these. So they're the three most important aspects of these headphones. I thought just to cap this review off, I would go through my likes and dislikes. The first thing is the sound. I'll mention it again. It's great. You know, it reveals that you do not have to settle for rubbish sound when it comes to $50 headphones. They also offer loads of buds. I mean, I don't know if they sent me too many. I was almost surprised there were that many in the box, but lots of different bud options to get the right fit for your ears. That's always handy, always useful. They do connect and pair really quickly as well. And the initial Bluetooth connection, fine. So if you're worried about Bluetooth, don't be, they just work. I've tried them on Android and iOS, no problems whatsoever. And when you take them out of the case, you don't have to turn them on because they're technically already on, and you pop them in your ears and you're done. And I've not experienced any Bluetooth issues with these whatsoever so far. Very impressive. Call quality, I've tried these on calls. Other people can hear me, I can hear them. No problem at all. Again, I have to mention USB-C. That's such a big plus point for these headphones. I just like the fact they're such a good alternative to the AirPods for $200 less. So what don't I like? Well, transparency mode, I think, is a shame that's not there. I mean, if it was never mentioned, then I wouldn't perhaps think too much about it, given the price. But the fact they were clearly intending on putting that into these headphones, it's just a shame. It's such a useful feature on the AirPods Pro that I've got very used to the point where I don't really think I could switch to these Coumis because they don't give me that one feature that is so handy. The other thing I really don't like are the touch-sensitive buttons. Now, Apple has done the same thing with AirPods Pro. They don't have physical buttons on them, but what they've done is something very smart. So you basically squeeze the tips of the buds, and that will then make a noise in your headphone, and it feels like it's a button. So it feels like you're actually clicking them. You're not at all, you're just squeezing it. But it kind of delivers this almost tactile feedback, which is so important. I talked about this in my recent review of the JBL Go 3 waterproof speaker, and that has proper clicky buttons, which I love. The Coumi doesn't. These headphones have these horrible touch-sensitive buttons that you're forever knocking by mistake. For example, while I was out running, I was trying to adjust my left earbud, and I just kept turning the volume down by mistake. It took me ages to work out why that was happening. I'm just not a fan of these kind of buttons. We see them on the likes of the HomePod Mini, and the Google Nest Audio that I reviewed recently as well. And they're just so easy to knock and accidentally press. I don't know why they exist, and it's genuinely annoying. You know, it causes issues day to day, so that is a bit of a shame. The other one, I have slightly strange ears. So with the original AirPods, for example, the left earbud would always fall out while running, occasionally while eating as well. The right one, no problem at all. Now the AirPods Pro, I was delighted to find out that they both stay in my ears perfectly. No matter what I'm doing, if I'm running, jumping up and down, eating, anything, they stay in my ears, which is great. Now the Coumis unfortunately fall into the same bracket as the original AirPods. So the right one stays in when I'm running, no problem at all. The left one does come loose and fall out. This is a very difficult thing to work out why this happens. It's something to do with the way my left ear is designed. My right ear is fine, my left ear doesn't quite work with these headphones. So if you've had problems with the AirPods in the past, not the AirPods Pro, but the AirPods in the past, in terms of one of them falling out your ears or both falling out of your ears, you might find the same thing with the Coumis. And I've tried the different buds and unfortunately it doesn't make any difference. So just bear that in mind. The case is too big. I mentioned this at the start, but it's just too big. I mean, if we compare it against the AirPods Pro, which is a big case actually itself, they pale in comparison, you know, and it's very thick, very bulky. It has this weird thing on it, which is they call it an adjustable lanyard. A bit odd. So the case is just a bit bulky. It's a bit bulky in your pocket. So should you buy these Coumi ANC-860s? I've been comparing these against the AirPods. I think it's a worthy comparison because there's a $200 difference here. So I think you should spend the $200 extra on the AirPods Pro. Firstly, if you are in their ecosystem. So these feature a chip inside here, which basically lets them switch between devices without you having to keep going into the Bluetooth settings and choose those headphones. That is genuinely very, very convenient, incredibly useful. I've got used to it so much that the fact that these Coumis do not have that chip is a bit of an issue. You know, I have to manually pair them and then swap the Bluetooth connections each time I swap devices, so that's a bit of a pain. So yeah, if you are in the Apple world, that alone, that device switching is so useful. Transparency mode, so if you like the idea of being able to filter in that outside noise occasionally, bear in mind that these Coumis do not have that feature. They were supposed to, but they don't have it for some reason. The AirPods Pro do. So if that's something that you think would make a big difference to your life in terms of when you're using these headphones, it's worth spending that extra $200. If you want a smaller case, that's not a reason to spend $200, but for some people's pockets, these are just too big. There's no two ways about it. If you chuck it in a bag, no problem at all. But if you put your AirPods or your headphones in your pockets when you're not using them or just while you're walking around, this is too big. I'm sorry. So again, it's not really worth $200, but it's a consideration. If noise cancelling is really important to you, so if you do a lot of work in coffee shops where it's noisy, or you just want to really close the world in around you and you don't want to use over the ear big headphones, then the Coumis don't quite cut the mustard, I'm afraid. They're not bad, and they're not bad for $50. But if you spend the $200 on the AirPods, you're getting really good noise cancelling. So why would you buy the ANC-860s? Well, if all that stuff that I just mentioned about the AirPods, you're just sitting there thinking, I don't care, that's not worth $200. Buy these, seriously, get them. Same thing, if you just want big bass focused sound for the gym, or you just like listening to music that benefits from that kind of sound reproduction, the Coumis will do you absolutely fantastically. They're also great workout headphones. Now, again, I struggle with them because they fall out my left ear, but that's my ear's problem, not the headphones. They can't cater for everyone. But when I have used them for working out, they're actually fantastic headphones for that purpose because of the sound, firstly. Secondly, because of that IPX7 water resistance, waterproofness, whatever you want to call it. You know, you don't worry about getting sweaty or whatever. But yeah, they're great workout headphones. And the last thing is if you're not particularly brand conscious, which is absolutely fine. You know, there's no getting away from the fact that the AirPods, like a lot of Apple stuff, carry a huge amount of brand cachet. You know, people want to be seen to be wearing them. You're not going to be wearing a pair of Coumi ANC-860s because they look cool or because people are going to think you're great for having them. So if you're not particularly brand conscious, and it's not a problem if you are brand conscious, just to make that very clear. If you are brand conscious, get the AirPods. They're great. If you're not, these do an admirable job for $200 less. So yeah, save yourself some money and try them out. Now, if you want to know a bit more about my experiences with the AirPods Pro, a little while ago I did a long-term review of them, so I will leave a link to that video at the end of this video, so keep watching for that. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, as always, and I will catch you on the next video.